Bloom Apartments brings you an exceptional offer. For a limited time, get 2 months free, plus their unique all-inclusive package. Not bad for finding your secret garden in the heart of Gatineau. Visit bloomapartments.com.
Need to know basis, they say. I'm getting a lot of questions about buying a bidet. I knew this would happen. Every time I've brought up the bidet, either people who have them want to share about them, and people who don't have them, they're bidet curious. Is that a thing, by the way? Bidet curious? People are bidet curious. Don just wrote me this. Elias, I will pay you $20 for 1.5 hour of use. Is there an Airbnb for bidet using? Because that could be a business idea right there. And thank you for all of those. And some people are sending me even bidet poetry, which I appreciate. Okay, everybody, let's turn our attention to the industrial sector, the commercial sector, rents, and real estate. There are a lot of stories. Obviously, we want to talk about residential real estate and what's happening in the city. But some interesting stuff is happening on other fronts as well. Unlike office space, demand for industrial space is off the charts as e-commerce booms. Could the rising cost of doing business mean higher costs passed on to you? Let's find out. Luciano D'Iorio is regional president of CDN Global Quebec, a commercial real estate broker. Luciano, welcome back to the show.
Hi, Elias. How are you?
I'm doing very well. So I don't know how you want to break this down with, and what is up your alley here. How do you want to start?
Well, I'll tell you what, just listening to you just before this segment and listening to the bidet, I'd like to bring that back to the table if you don't mind.
Yes, please.
Okay, so here's what's going to happen is if there is an increase in bidets or demand in bidets in the Montreal area, thanks to the Elias Mackel show, we're going to have a problem because actually it's interesting because just recently I had to buy a toilet bowl for my home. And it wasn't a bidet, so I'm now having buyer's remorse. But the plumbing supply store that I usually go to had actually warned me. It says, you're very lucky that you're getting this toilet bowl now at this price because I've just got a note from our supplier that cost of porcelain is going to go up by 10%. And so that cost is going to be passed on to you. And so the question then is, well, why is it going up 10%? And there's a whole bunch of things. And one of the things that supplier was saying to me was, I should just order a container of these toilet bowls and keep them in stock. And then looked at me with this blank stare saying, where the heck am I going to put this container of stock? Because I have no space. And there is no space to be had in Montreal to store and to warehouse items. And which is what we've been living for the last little while, where there is just an increase in demand. Suppliers like the plumbing supply store is looking to see how they can, stockpile items, everyday items that they need to sell, and they don't have a place to put it.
So, you're blowing my mind here, Luciano, because, I don't think we often think about that, right? The cost to store the goods we will eventually buy, if that cost goes up, that's going to be affected in the price tag here. So if I'm seeing here that the average rent for industrial buildings in Greater Montreal are up 63% year over year, to bring you the example there of the guy that's trying to stock porcelain toilets, if his costs just to store stuff have gone up 63%, eventually it's going to affect all of us.
Absolutely. And you know what? So I've been in the business for over 20 years, and about the last, or the first 15 years, we would always say that industrial space was somewhere around, $5 a square foot net, and then there's the operating expenses and the taxes for the building. That $5, you can kiss that goodbye, and that was kissed goodbye a long time ago. Now we're seeing rents in the $17 to $20 a square foot net. And so someone who's used to, is on a 5-year lease or a 10-year lease coming off of $5 a square foot, they've got some sticker shock. And they don't really have much choice because if they said to their landlord, well, I'm going to leave, there is not much, vacancy out there. Vacancy is hovering at about 1%. So it's almost like, when you're looking for that book that everybody wants in the bookstore, or that item that everybody wants, and somebody hides it between the shelves and they show it that it's an inventory, but really you can't find it because it's hiding somewhere. that's what we're living with right now on the industrial side. And the industrial context is that space users are having a hard time getting space at a price that makes sense for them and their goods.
Luciano, is there a solution here, or is this new normal? Get used to it.
I think it's the new normal in that when you look at a city like Montreal, we're a port city. And if I look at my colleagues in Vancouver, their vacancy rate is 0.1%, and their average rental rates are about $19.50 a square foot net. So I think it is going to be the new normal because there's a lot of old inventory in Montreal. So when I say old inventory, what I mean is if you think of the two big industrial parks on the island of Montreal, both in Saint Laurent and in Anjou, those industrial parks have clearances, so clear height clearances of about 18 feet, which in the world of warehousing is not the ideal because you really want to stack up pallets as much as you can. As high as you can. If you look at the IKEA new build that they did in Beauharnois, you're looking at north of 100 feet high in terms of buildings. So there's still a lot of old inventory left in Montreal that's going to be sold, and it's getting sold, and it's going to get repurposed. And of course, it's all going to be in context with zoning. There's certain areas. I mean, we think of the industrial park near the airport. You just can't go high because the airport's there. So you're going to have to go off island or in other places to build higher. And of course, if you're building with construction costs today, you're building at a higher rate. I mean, construction prices are higher, land costs are higher. So I think it's here to stay. It'll probably be stabilized over the next little while with the interest rates have just gone up, as we saw the other day. That kind of had some people wondering, but I think it's here to stay.
We are learning a lot with Luciano D'Iorio, Regional President of CDN Global Quebec, and we've been discussing how industrial rents, they are going up, and that will affect the cost of the goods that you buy. Luciano, you just brought up interest rate hikes. Now, on this program, we've discussed how that will affect, residential buyers, right? Variable rate mortgages, stress tests. What happens in this space? What happens in industrial and the commercial spaces when interest rates are increased? Is there an effect on you and real estate in these sectors?
So on the industrial side, what we've seen over the last little while as the interest rates started to go up a little, what you have is that people, as they're putting together their pro formas and thinking about building on speculation, they're putting the brakes on it a bit and saying, now the cost to carry the debt is higher. I may want to hedge my bets and kind of wait for the tenant to show up rather than build on speculation. Because this is what's been happening over the last little while is that because the rental rates have gone up, it justified to put up a building because you knew that chances were that the moment you started digging for a new building, the tenant was going to come. It's almost like, build it and they will come. I think there's going to be a little bit of a pause right now as people realize that, the cost to borrow money is higher. So we've certainly seen the phone ring a little less because of it. And so unless you have a tenant in hand that absolutely needs space because they're storing bidets for Elias Mackles or anybody else that's listening to this show, so I think that's what we're going to see over the next little while.
Let me tell you something, Luciano. There is a listener to this show who is going to get a gift from his wife, and it's a bidet based on what we just did. I'm getting the notes here from listeners. Let's wrap up with this, Luciano. Just on office space.
Yeah.
What can you tell us? I'm hearing, work from home is done. All the businesses want the employees back. Are you seeing that play out on the ground in Montreal? What's happening with office space?
On the ground in Montreal, I think people are starting to look at solutions and look at options. I think they still don't know, and I think we really have to pass through the summer and get back into the fall season to see where employees want to lie, and where they want to be and where they want to work and where the employers want them to work. So I think it's still, the jury is kind of still out on it. But I'm seeing, in terms of the activity that I am seeing, it's interesting. The layout, people are looking for more closed environments for their employees so that they can do Zoom calls and Teams calls and what have you. in a closed environment, that they're not distracted by their coworker next to them.
Yeah. Oh, good, because that movement to the open layout there, there was a little bit too much of that back in the day. Hey, Luciano, I want to thank you for coming on. I also want to thank you just for, taking this issue here on the industrial rents and giving us like a real world example about how it's going to play out for everyone. I appreciate it a lot.
Thank you.
Luciano D'Iorio, Regional President of CDN Global Quebec.